Hello everyone. This is a quick discussion about Coding 101. So what is coding data? Coding is a really significant step in your data analysis and a qualitative component of your research to organize and make sense of the written collected data. So the data can come from written responses to surveys by participants like students, parents, or teachers, or the notes collected in your reflection journal. And again, I should tell you this reference page will also be up on Blackboard as to help through this. It's just a one-pager to trying to help you. So coding is all about looking at that qualitative written data and trying to analyze it to determine themes and categories. And I'm just pointing it out right here. So coding is all about determining the themes and categories. When you start the coding process, you want to begin to identify major themes or categories that address your primary and secondary research questions. Because again, the intervention is all about, will it answer the success of our research questions? So that's what you want to look at when looking at coding, is going back to saying, how does this data by word, interview, reflection, go back and help support answering the questions that have been created for your action research? So it's important to read responses entirely before beginning coding. It gives you a sense of what's being said, and looking through multiple copies ahead of time can help you start determining what is that theme or what is that category that I want to start breaking this information into. Once you've read the responses, you'll want to start looking for repetition of keywords or phrases that can be associated with your questions. Again, that's determined on what your research is that you're looking for. For some of you, it's standing out, is it all about assessments? This assessment helped me, was going back into teacher or coaching support. I was frustrated, looking at those different words that are being used to start looking at if there's a category that they can all fit into with, again, what your hypothesis was, or maybe it wasn't your hypothesis, but something that's come out as well. So as you find words or phrases that reoccur and are associated with your questions, and you've read the responses through the first time and are noticing them, reading through the second time, you want to start underlining them. And again, that's that point right here with a pencil. So that way you can come back to say, these are phrases that I'm seeing, and will help identify repetition. But from there, you'll want to determine your themes, what the themes are initially, and forming from these words and create a list of those themes, or using the term categories as well. You really want to be able to say, this is a larger broad theme that these words or these phrases come into, or in specifically, let's say my example further down below, it's going to be about answering a survey question and how students respond to it. It's these different categories that you'll want to break apart. So you want to create that list. So my example below here on this sheet says, if my primary question was focusing on student engaging in self-revising, you would read the following students' responses to see what they responded to the survey question. What success did you find in using the taught strategies to revise your own writing? So here are 4 different student responses. You'll notice that I've done the underlining already on them, seeing that checklist with revising questions. Checklist, again, I felt those are 2 words that were repeating, but this gave a little more information about it. Checklist again, taking a break and coming back. And this I underlined it because I found it was a different category of saying they didn't find any success with the strategy. So those are some pieces that I'm looking through. Now, after looking at the underlined phrases, you then want to determine those themes or categories to try and place them into or fit them into. And you'll want to create a theme or category list to help you organize what you're identifying. You want to start identifying which themes or categories to really fit into here, this bucket, or this bucket. You'll notice that I say use different colored highlights, because then you'll want to go back into these, what you've underlined, and say, these are This right here is about checklist. I'm going to use, let's say I'm going to use yellow on it. So I want to highlight it and use a yellow to it. But here it's about taking break and coming back. That's a different category for me here, so I want to use that different color. That's why it's important to create that list and associate what colors you're using with it. Or you can just start pulling if you've got a separate document to pull how many times you're seeing these words or phrases. Or just again highlighting like I'm stating here, and this not finding any success. That's a different highlight for me. So from there, you ultimately want to code it with this coding and placing it into categories and themes to help you collect and analyze the success of your intervention. You'll do this again in surveys. You'll do it in interviews and reflections. And some of these categories that you fit, if you start looking at students and then go back into what teachers are saying in their reflections, you can pull to triangulate that data as well to agree with success or not success. So that is the goal of the data analysis, is to start this coding process, to go back in, pull these themes out, what supports these themes, what words support these themes, to then go back and support what your finding is from what students have shared, the work and artifact pieces that are brought out, and again, survey results and compare, linking it back to the quantitative as well. So that's the basics of 101 and trying to give you an idea of coding. Good luck on it, and connect with me if you have any questions.